probably do something similar, but there's no way you could wear it after. Like it would disappear or something off the screen after about 20 seconds, or if you walk around it'll probably be gone. So I think that's really cool. Okay, let's go through a few more. If Arthur is covered in mud or blood, the reaction you'll get from those around you will be different than, of course, if he was clean. This goes also with instance of bathing, washing yourself. There is a lot of ways to do this. Matt, I know it's like probably a most ridiculous thing to most people to have to go and take a wash, do those things. But I mean, if you're going to have all this customization in it and real life kind of ways, then surely bathing and bathing and washing has to be there, because that would just be something that everybody would be like, I wish they would have that in it. I'm sure they would have just come out with it if it wasn't in here. So what about for you, Matt? Does that work for you? And is that something that kind of... I mean, it could be pretty funny, I think, to walk through, a saloon and you're kind of like completely stinking out the joint because your hygiene isn't so great on that reaction. But, I mean, I think that makes perfect sense to have it, given everything else we've heard. Is that too much for you? I have heard like a lot of... I've read some comments under some videos where I'm like, man, that's too much. I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to have to do that, but is that still cool with you? Or do you does that add again to the kind of realism element to this?
Oh yeah, totally. And there's people out there who are saying, "Oh man, I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't have to do that." Then I'm glad I'm not sitting next to you on the bus. But the thing is, though, like it's not really that huge a part of the game. I mean, you can still play it without doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone will have a different experience based on this. I mean, if they want to go complete their mission and save a damsel in distress and be like holding in her arms, and then she goes, thanks for the rescue, but you need to take a bath. Yeah, that's just a bit of comedy, and I'm sure Rockstar have a good sense of humour, and they're going to throw stuff.
Oh, they're gonna. Okay, so picking up on what Matt mentioned earlier, weapons get dirty and clogged up over time, or if you get them wet. So you'll need to clean to get the best performance. So I really, really liked the fact that you can do this. I remember seeing the first early screenshots and I was like, at last they've done this, because it used to frustrate me. Like, I think that's one of the big things. Like you never get to kind of clean out your guns, and it was a big thing back then as well to do it. So I'm really, really glad that they've done it. Now, as much as there is a lot of customization, the one thing I've read is that when it comes to the guns and the weapons, they have not over-exaggerated what was around at that time. So I'm really glad about that, because you think Rockstar, you think GTA, and you think of all these crazy customization that you can do on those games. And I'm like, would I kind of go too far in this? Is this the part where it doesn't get realistic because people are going to want some insane weapons? I'm glad they've kept to actually what there was available at that time, what was invented. I think there's only 2 guns that might be about 10 years off from being invented, Matt, in like real life that I've read about, which is, I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna go too mad about that or write any letters to Rockstar on that one. So I'm really glad that although there is all this customization, they haven't just elaborated on things like weapons just for the sake of doing it and the sake that it is a game. I'm still glad they've kind of kept it to what was around and not gone too overboard, because they could have easily done that, and I've seen it before as well, where they'll try and you can paint it, you can do all these weird things that, there's no way that would have been a thing back then. However, going into customization here, Matt, how cool is it going to be, the fact that you can literally kind of build your own kind of little gun? Like, you can change things on it, you can wrap it in different materials, the handle and stuff like that, and it'll all depend how quick it's going to be. If you're going to go and literally have a shootout outside, you're going to want the best and the quickest, obviously. But I really think that's a cool thing. But I am so happy they haven't gone elaborate and started to like do all these wacky things. Matt, was it? I can't remember if we had this conversation before about the whole cleaning guns with you or with somebody else, but I remember talking to someone. And I was like really happy this is a thing. Is there any other? I believe there's another game that have done this before. Or did I not have that conversation? I can't remember who I spoke to about it. The whole cleaning guns.
No, I don't actually have any games that actually require you to sort of clean guns.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there was a few games that require you to repair it after.
Right. Yeah.
i.e. stuff like Fallout and all that has that sort of system. But yeah, the customization on this sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to have our favourite gun in this game, and it's good to know you can just put it your way. I mean, your gun doesn't necessarily have to be like everybody else who's picking the gun up. You can make it completely different, make it your own. Yeah,
no, definitely. So that's going to be cool. Looking forward to that. Okay, let's stick some more here. Snow on Arthur's clothing. This is the literally snow. Not a person I'm talking about. I'm talking about legit snow weather. Snow on Arthur's clothing will eventually melt. Mud will harden and wipe away. Blood will dry. So this is, again, a really cool detail that they've added in this. And if you've seen any of the shots, I don't know if you have watched all the gameplay trailers, Matt, but if you watch the parts where he's in the mud, it's very small details. However, they have got that absolutely spot on, because you often in games, your character will walk through mud, and it's kind of, they do the same steps, and once you've seen the first few, you've seen them all. However, in this one, it really changes to some crazy level stuff on the terrain that you're on, and mud in this seems to be like a big thing. I'm really glad they've used that a lot in this. So mud splatter, especially if you're on horseback, is going to be like a crazy thing here. And I know it's a ridiculous detail to look out for, but these things are, what makes a game something special. So watch out for that. And I'm glad they've kind of looked at weather and snow and how that works, and the fact that mud does dry up on you. It doesn't just sort of wash off somewhere miraculously. So that's kind of a cool feature that they've got. Okay, what else we got here? You can switch camera angles while in cinematic view. So that's going to be cool. So anyone that's played the first Red Dead Redemption from 2010 will remember that there were certain parts where you could have the cinematic view, and you get some beautiful views on it. And I think this game, Matt, I mean, we're probably in agreement that the sort of landscapes in this and the sort of views, from what we've seen from the screenshots, should be absolutely like breathtaking. Some of the stuff that we're going to get here. I mean, I can only kind of compare it to things like Zelda, but the thing with Zelda, it's a complete fantasy game. So here we have like a game that is going way in a different view. However, it's taking some of the ideas from Zelda, no doubt about it. It's taken a lot of the concepts already implemented in that game as far as the mechanics of it. However, this is built into a real realistic kind of Old West genre. So that's going to be really cool. Do things like that matter to you much, Matt, or are you not too bothered?
Oh no, definitely do as well. It's that whole thing I said earlier about escapism. You want to go to this world, you don't want it to look ugly and bland and barren.
Yeah.
You want to see everything that it has to offer, and I did read on there as well that there's no light pollution back then. So all the stars.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up.
All accounted for.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I'm not sure if they've got this down here on this list, so I'm glad you've put that in, because that is something I was reading about in my magazine, and that's just something you think like, man, they did not have to probably even go to that area, but the fact that they are, is going to be amazing, because what they're saying is once it's a clear night, you're going to be able to see mainly everything, because back then, this is before we started to ruin our world with chemicals and gases and everything else that's gone up there that we've done. So it was a much, as Matt was saying, you could actually see stars much more visible, a lot more of them. So that's going to be a cool thing in itself. I'm kind of looking forward to just those little things. And again, when we go on to when you check out my videos, unlike most videos that are out there, you'll watch people play through. I'm going to be kind of doing at a very different pace. I'm actually going to be kind of more of the exploring type, so I'm hoping I'll give you guys a different experience to what you already normally get. Of course, I'll be playing the storyline as well, but however, I will be doing a lot more exploration in it. So also let's go here. So we're talking about the music now. So composer Woody Jackson returns to create the music for Red Dead Redemption 2. Get this, Matt, there are 192 separate pieces of score, not including the ambient themes. That is just crazy. The fact there's that much music and score music in this game. How does that sound to you there, Matt?
That's amazing. That's like more than what you see in some, like, I don't know, yeah. Some people can go their whole career and not write that many pieces, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, that it's cool because, again, for people that don't recognise what score music is, that's just the kind of subtle music over. So he might be something where, like, you're Arthur Morgan and you're just riding across, and you'll just get that nice little overlay of music. It's to be there, but it's not to kind of take you out of the moment. It worked very, very well. I mean, Zelda is nowhere near the level of this sort of stuff of 192. However, what worked in Zelda very well is when you did get on horseback, because a lot of those parts were quite long, you would get a flavour of music that would just start up out of nowhere, and it kind of did make the experience a lot better, and like you was more engaged in it. And I like the fact that they changed the music all the time depending on what was going on, and it sounds like you're going to get reacting music in this game. So if suddenly things do start to get a little bit dodgy, then the music's just going to literally set in and you're going to get that. So that is but yeah, like Matt said, I mean, 192, how the hell did he get time to just go through all that lot? But that's incredible, to think that much music is involved in this. Okay, let's hit another one here. As Arthur's Deadeye skill develops, he'll be able to target critical hit areas such as an enemy's vital organs. This is also useful for getting clean kills when hunting. Now, I've seen bits of that, and it kind of reminds me of is it Sniper, isn't it? Where you can like really see. So I think obviously the Deadeye they're evolving the whole thing, which is good, which you want to see. Was you a fan of Deadeye in the Red Dead, Matt? And since its incarnation in Revolver and stuff.
Yeah, it's a useful tool in it, and also it's just pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's what you want to step into the shoes of a gunslinger, and you want to hit those shots.
Yeah.
So you don't always have that amount of time in the game, but it's nice to feel like you're a pro and that you can actually do that, and that you have special skills.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it as a cowboy, back then they were so skillful with targeting. This is before you had the likes of the guns that could just automatically pick up, without you really doing too much. This is like where you had to be really skillful with the weapon, and the piece at your side. So to play it, there's not really any other way they could have ever got to that kind of uniqueness. So by slowing everything down, and then obviously when he takes the shot, there's kind of a really, you do get this feeling of like satisfaction when the shots are just firing off all in like one blast. You're like, wow, I just did that. But obviously you kind of didn't, because you map them out depending on how skillful you get. But I don't think there'd be too many ways of getting around that, because the further you go, you should be a better shot. However, I think at this time in video games, it would be very difficult, especially with the genre they're in here, to try and do it any other way. So I still think the Deadeye system works perfectly well in the Old West setting for me. So I'm glad they've kept that, and evolved it a little bit now, so that the more skillful you become, you're going to identify vital organs, so you can kind of aim for certain parts, and it's going to maybe the hand, for if you're going to just take the gun out of somebody's hand, and then maybe take the next body part.
I had heard that actually, that literally keep your casualties down to a minimum if you're
Wow.
in